Good evening, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started right now because we've got the kids coming in for call time for our concert at 6:30, and we've got a lot of information to cover tonight. If you don't know me, my name is Jake Carcula. I'm the band director here at Mount High School. I'm sure the high school parents know me, but I know we've got some eighth grade parents here as well. So today we're here to talk about two different options that we can consider for a trip for spring break during the 2019-20 school year. So today I'm going to talk about those different options. After the meeting is over, both students and parents will have an opportunity to provide you with some feedback through an online questionnaire. So the two options that we're considering for spring break next year are a band festival cruise out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, with 5 different cruise ports that we'll be stopping at, and a 5 to 6 night trip to Orlando, with the main part of the trip being Disney, with some other experiences as well. Before getting into those options, a little bit about myself. I love being a band director, and I also love to travel. I've been to 33 countries throughout my travels. I've been to many countries several times as well. And all over the world, from South America to Southeast Asia to Europe to South America, the South Pacific as well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I have a lot of experience traveling. I feel very comfortable traveling. I feel very comfortable leading students while traveling. And the way I travel is I'm a backpacker. I buy tickets into one location and buy tickets out, and then we figure out when we get there. So with that being said, I know how to solve problems. I know how to figure things out when we're on location as well, when we're on trips. So digging into a little bit about trips now. The price of travel is increasing every year. It's increasing every year. From accommodations, hotel prices seem to be going up every time we've done a trip. Hotel prices are more expensive. Attractions are more expensive, whether it's a Broadway show, visiting the Statue of Liberty, going to Disney. Everything's going up in price. Transportation, even if gas prices fall, the bus transportation doesn't fall with that. It stays steady or it goes up a little bit. In 2009, we took a trip to Disney World. We flew there, and we spent 5 nights there, and the price for that trip was right around $1,100. In 2016, we went to New York City. We spent 3 nights in New York City. We drove there by bus, and the price was $930. And I believe our North High School band is going to New York City this year, spending 3 nights in New York City, and the price is $950 for what they're doing in New York City. So the prices keep going up with the travel industry right now. Now, specifically with the cruise industry, the demand for cruising has increased by 62% between 2005 and 2015. And as people become more interested in the industry, more cruise companies are coming along. What that means is there's been a lot more competition for cruises in recent years. So as I said, we're going to have 2 different possibilities. And I really wanted to have more than one cruise possibility. And I shared this with a few parents because some parents have asked me, well, a cruise out of Florida would be nice, or a cruise out of Texas. And I did want to consider those cruises, but what I found is that when I was looking for March 14th through the 22nd, 2020, looking for those dates, which is our spring break for next year, 99% sure, most of the itineraries were either identical or very, very similar to the cruise that we did last year, mainly a Bahamas cruise stopping at Coco Cay or Nassau, or they stopped multiple times in Mexico. And I was just assuming that parents would not want a cruise that is in Mexico, just being the state of what's going on in Mexico right now. So I could not find another cruise to offer to get feedback from you opposite the Puerto Rico cruise. There were some itineraries that I really did like. There was an itinerary that visited Jamaica and a little kind of a resort area in Haiti, but that one wasn't available for our spring break either. So a couple others, a lot of itineraries I really like, that just weren't available for our spring break. So regarding the cruise industry in Puerto Rico, it's a good time to visit Puerto Rico right now in terms of price and bang for your buck. They've had some unfortunate circumstances. The hurricane a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, came through. They've had some economic instability. And what that means is we've been able to find really good prices on airfare lately, and we've been able to find really good prices on cruises lately. Our travel agent has quoted us, the cruise actually got down in price since the last time I communicated with you. The cruise is right around $929 to $950 for everything on the cruise, including tips, the taxes for port and whatnot. So the cruise has gone down significantly. If you were to take a 7-night cruise out of the United States, the lower 48, you could easily spend $1,400 to $1,500 per person, easily. Sometimes well over $2,000 depending on the dates. So right now there are some really good prices in Puerto Rico for cruises, and there are some great airfare deals as well to get to Puerto Rico. So I did present some information on Puerto Rico. I can't remember when that, a couple months ago, and the feedback from parents that I received, I heard back from 62 parents, and 24.2% said absolutely 100% yes, my son or daughter would go on that trip. 24.2% said very, very likely that my son or daughter would go on that trip. 30.6% were in the maybe. 9.7% said not very likely, and 11.3% said no. So some good feedback, some very positive feedback from some parents, and I also received some very helpful feedback on why some parents don't support the trip as well. And hopefully I will be able to address most, if not all, of the questions that people brought about on their questionnaires as well throughout this presentation. So as I said, 2 options that we're going to consider. I'm going to start with the first option, which is Orlando. And this trip would be 5 to 6 nights in Orlando, and the main attractions would be Disney. It would be $1,400 to $1,600 with a flight, and we could save about $150 to $200 if we were to take a bus down there. Keep in mind, if you take a bus, that adds 48 hours on a bus, and it also adds about 6 meals that the student would have to pay for out of pocket as well. 3 meals on the way there and 3 meals on the way back. Performance opportunities for Disney. Be a stage performance on the Disney World property, a clinic at Disney World, as well as a performance at Ron John's Surf Shop, which is in Cocoa Beach. I'm going to present a sample itinerary now for Disney. And this itinerary, this is not what the itinerary would be, but it would be very, very similar. In other words, I don't know what we would perform at Disney. A lot of other things would be up in the air. So this is just a sample itinerary. Day 1 would be a flight to Orlando. And then we would arrive in Orlando and get situated at a hotel on the Disney World property. Day 2, starting with breakfast at the hotel and Hollywood Studios. Highlights of Hollywood Studios include Tower of Terror, the Great Movie Ride, and the Rock and Roller Coaster. Of course, there are a lot of other attractions as well. Day 3, starting with breakfast at the hotel, and then visiting Epcot Center. Today would be a good day to have it's called the Your Instrumental Clinic on the Disney property. It's usually at Epcot. We participated in this in 2009. It is a really great clinic and great experience for the kids. Main attractions at Epcot Center are the World Showcase, the Soarin' Ride, and Spaceship Earth. And then in the evening, they have a really great fireworks show at Epcot Center as well. Day 4 would be the Magic Kingdom, starting off with breakfast at the hotel. Be a stage performance somewhere in the Disney property. It could be at Magic Kingdom, but there are many possibilities for performances on the Disney World property. Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and Pirates of the Caribbean are some of the hot attractions at the Magic Kingdom. And there is also a fireworks show at night in the Magic Kingdom. Day 5, starting with breakfast at the hotel. Animal Kingdom is the theme park of choice for today. Main attractions are Kilimanjaro Safari, the Expedition Everest, and the Cali River Rapids. Day 6, we'll be going to Cocoa Beach. And in Cocoa Beach, there are a lot of different things that students participate in. Swimming in the ocean, Ron John's Surf Shop, Kennedy Space Center are all things that we can participate in. And there's also a performance opportunity at Ron John's Surf Shop. And then lastly, day 7, depart at Cocoa Beach, finishing up in the morning at Cocoa Beach, and departing. This trip is very, very similar to the one we did in 2009. Students did have a really good time there. Price has gone up a little bit since 2009. So, summary, $1,400 to $1,600 for this one. Again, you can subtract $150 to $200 if you take the bus. Students would also be responsible for 1 to 2 meals per day on the Disney property for this trip. My thoughts on this trip. Things that I really like about it. I love the Disney performances. I love the clinic as well. I think those were great last time we went on this trip. I also think I think it's a great opportunity for students to explore Disney with some of their best friends. I did this one when I was in high school, and I had a blast with my friends. And as a band director, I thought it was a very good trip as well last time we did it. Things I don't like about this trip: lots of time standing in line. This is the hottest time of year to visit Disney, spring break, so it's packed. And many of the meals are not included in the price, so you have to think about the price as well as meals on top of that. Are there any questions about this trip? I purposely am not going to spend a lot of time on this trip getting into details of the itinerary. I just have this assumption that a lot of families know what goes into a Disney trip. You see it on the commercials all the time on YouTube, or know people that have gone to Disney. So I'm not going to get, as you see, I didn't get very detailed into exactly what happens on this trip, but I will get a lot more detailed with the Puerto Rico trip because I know a lot of parents have a lot of questions on that trip. So our second option is a 7-night cruise from San Juan to the Eastern Caribbean. And I'm actually going to stop myself for a second. If you didn't get the handouts, there's a white table back there. I do have 3 handouts that go along with this presentation. The white one is kind of the general handout, kind of generally explains each trip. And at the end, there are a couple links that give parents opportunities to give me feedback about the trip. The blue one is a sample itinerary for the Puerto Rico cruise. And this one has a small error at the top. It says Puerto Rico Southern Caribbean. It just says Puerto Rico Eastern Caribbean on that. So not that that makes a lot of difference, but there's an error on that one. And the yellow one is a sample Orlando itinerary. So this trip, I've gotten a little more confirmation on what it would actually cost. I actually got that last week. Our travel agent thinks that this trip can be done under $1,600. Under $1,600. So I said $1,400 to $1,650 is what I'm putting as the estimate at this time for this trip. Again, it's based on airfare. We know the cruise price. It's just mainly based on airfare and how that varies. Great thing about this trip is most meals are included, and students would only be responsible for some meals before the cruise and after the cruise. We had several people go on our Bahamas cruise last year, and this was a fun in the sun trip, Bahamas cruise. We went to NASA, and we went to Coco Cay, and spent some time in Universal Studios. So that was a fun in the sun trip, and I know a lot of families, it's real easy to think cruise, beach, pool. It's really easy to think a cruise that way. And I want to assure you that the Puerto Rico cruise has much more to the beach and the pool. And that's why I'm going to get a little bit, actually quite a bit more detail into what each day on this cruise would look like. So first of all, this cruise would be on the Royal Caribbean Freedom of the Seas. It's in the Freedom class of ships, which is, I believe, the second largest class of ships. It's a really big ship. It's a really nice ship. It has a pretty nice pool. It has a surf simulator, a climbing wall that's about twice as big as the climbing wall on the cruise that we went on last year. It has a full basketball court and volleyball court, mini golf. And this is the center of the ship between the rooms. This is the Royal Promenade on the ship. And a 3-story dining room. So it's a very, very elaborate ship, a very, very nice ship. An ice skating rink. And a theater. The great thing about the ship is it's in great shape already. It's a very nice ship. In January of 2020, this is a month and a half before our spring break, they're going to be doing the Royal Amplified renovations on the ship. So they're going to be adding water slides to the ship. They're going to add a sky pad, which is this kind of trampoline structure, an escape room, laser tag, and a whole bunch of other renovations that students probably don't care about so much with restaurants and stuff like that. There'll be 5 ports of call. There'll be St. Martin, St. Kitts, Antigua, St. Lucia, and Barbados. And performance opportunities. Basically 3 performance and clinic opportunities. There'll be a performance in San Juan, Puerto Rico, a clinic and performance on the cruise ship along with a question and answer and perhaps a clinic session with cruise ship musicians, and then a performance at one of the ports of call. And I am going to include that on the itinerary that I'm going to show you, but the port of call is up in there. We don't know which port of call it will be. And we wouldn't figure that out until later. So I'm going to present a sample itinerary for you. The ports of call on the sample itinerary are set in stone. we already know when those ports of call would be. The entertainment that I'm going to provide to you is based off of a cruise in June. I actually went on this exact same cruise in July, had a great time with my family or with my wife. So I have a pretty good idea of what this cruise is all about, but I found a sample cruise compass from June. So all the entertainment that I'm going to explain to you or note with you today is from this cruise compass, an actual cruise that left in June of 2018. And students will also have opportunities for excursions on this trip, whether they're pre-booked excursions or DIY excursions, and I'm going to list a bunch of those possibilities. We won't be able to finalize those excursions until chaperones sign up for the trip and we figure out what chaperone interest is for that. So here we go. Day one, we have flight to Puerto Rico. And then we'd arrive in Puerto Rico, we'd be able to spend some time in Puerto Rico. During this time, they've got a huge fort in Puerto Rico, and you can earn in San Juan. There's an opportunity to visit a national park and explore the streets of San Juan as well. It's a really neat city. On either day one or day two, we would have a performance in San Juan somewhere. On day three, we board the cruise ship. And right after boarding the cruise ship, of course, we would eat a lunch buffet. So all you can eat lunch buffet included, all meals included on the cruise ship. And then throughout this day, students will be able to explore the cruise ship and participate in a number of different activities. Also a safety drill, 3:30 or 4 o'clock on the cruise ship. And this cruise actually leaves quite late. This will leave until 8:30 or so at night. There'll be a 3-course dinner every night on the cruise ship, and it's basically all you can eat. If you want 2 entrees, you get 2 entrees. If you want a lobster tail and prime rib, you can have that if you want. If you want 2 desserts, you can have that if you want. On this day, if you were to find the same cruise compass or the cruise itinerary, there was salsa dance lessons that night. And after the salsa dance lessons, there was a welcome aboard show. And this one was featuring Keely Rogers, the Freedom of the Seas Orchestra, and then this acrobatic couple. And I saw all these people when I was on it. This acrobatic couple, Peter and Elpido, I think, I'm not sure. They were really fantastic, and they had several performances throughout the ship. So a really great show. After the show, kids can go down to the pizza place and have some desserts, have some pizza. They can go sit in the hot tub and watch a movie. They can do some nighttime basketball, go to the climbing wall. A lot of different things to do on the ship. See some music or listen to some music. And then finally, room checks. So that's basically the second day of our trip. So the first day of the cruise. Day 3, start off with breakfast. And then this day would be St. Martin's, stop at St. Martin's, or the island of St. Martin. And St. Martin is the smallest landmass in the world that is ruled by 2 different nations. So ruled by France and ruled by the Dutch. There are 120 different nationalities in St. Martin and over 80 plus languages. A little bit about excursions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about excursions for the entire trip, and then we're going to get a little bit more detail about St. Martin. Students are going to have an opportunity to participate in pre-booked excursions that we pay for ahead of time. They'll also be able to do DIY excursions on this trip. I had a friend that did this trip a week after us last year, and he didn't book any excursions. And he basically got off the ship, and for all of their, he did it with a band, I should mention, the band director. And most of his excursions, he said, were about $20 a day for almost full day excursions. So not that we would do that for all of our excursions, but there are some great excursions that you can go on that we do not need to pre-book that I would feel very comfortable with just based on my experiences already. With our students book excursions, they can have a good time without pre-booking them. So here are some excursions that exist in multiple ports. So you'll see these excursions on many ports. I'm only going to mention them right now. So there are some boat and sailing tours that you can do at several ports. You can do island tours by vehicle. Zip lining is available at several of the ports. Snuba, if you don't know what snuba is, it's kind of like scuba diving, except you've got a line coming down of air from the top of the water instead of a tank. Snorkeling and dolphin and stingray encounters take place at many of the ports. Here are some possible excursion opportunities that are specific to St. Martin. There's an island tour by land and island tour by land and sea. These range in price from $39 to $64. Excuse me. You can visit Fort Louise. You can visit the French capital of, I'm going to guess, Marigot in Anyone speak French? All right, I'm going to go with Marigo for right now. And there's a great Salt Lake Pond that you can visit. You can go to Lordery Farm Tree Top Adventure, which is kind of this rainforest oasis in the middle of the island. And it's also very close to the highest peak on the island as well. There's the Maho Beach airplane experience. So this is where planes, they fly right over the beach. And it's a really neat experience. My wife and I stopped here when we were in St. Martin. Some DIY experiences. A lot of the experiences that you can book, you can also easily do as a DIY excursion. So you can visit Lordery Farm on your own, and I'm not saying on your own, under the supervision of a chaperone. You can explore the town of Phillipsburg, so you can visit the courthouse. There's this museum by a guy that really likes Star Wars, that is all about Yoda. Obviously, the Great Bay Beach, and several museums in St. Phillipsburg as well. You can take a taxi to Mullet Bay at Maho Beach. So again, Maho Beach is where the airplanes land. Mullet Bay is very close to Maho Beach, and it has some great snorkeling. You can walk to Great Bay Beach. If you look, here's the cruise ship. This is where the cruise ship docks, and this beach is a 10-minute walk from there. You can rent 2 lawn chairs for about $10 there. Take a taxi tour to the French capital of Marigo and the Port Louise, and a taxi tour of the entire island. Students need to break up what they're doing throughout the day by going back to the ship and eating lunch, or they perhaps could not eat lunch on the ship and go down to Sorrento's and have some pizza and sandwiches later on after getting back on the ship. So after getting back on the ship, activities for this evening, which I found in my cruise compass, open ice skating. And there's many, I'm not going to mention every activity, but open ice skating, and then the 3-course dinner, of course, at night, followed by a captain's reception in the promenade with a live band. And then the show of the night, marquee, a tribute to shows that light at Broadway. And this was basically kind of the showstopper hits from several different Broadway shows. I saw the show when I was on the ship. Again, very, very good, very entertaining. Also featuring the Freedom of the Seas Orchestra, which is basically a jazz ensemble. And after the show, students can explore the ship like they've done the other days, and they can also do some Latin dancing with the cruise director staff. And room checks. Day 4. Again, breakfast, and this day would be, this is the second port, St. Kitts. A little bit about St. Kitts. St. Kitts has gone back and forth between British and French rule, several battles throughout the years, a long time ago with that. Also lots of sugar plantations and has a lot of history with the slave trade. I will get into more detail on all these islands, but it was a lot for me to research just to kind of give you a glimpse of it, and if you're interested, I encourage you to check some things out on your own. Possible pre-booked excursions on this island. You can visit the Brimstone Hill Fort and the Great House Tour. The Great House is on a sugar plantation many years ago where slavery was held. And the Brimstone Hill Fort, it's a hill fort meant for defense. Take the Scenic Railway and Sailing Tour. The Scenic Railway was used to transport sugar many years ago, and it's now used as a scenic railway adventure. You can visit or climb to the top of Mount Liamlaga. That's a volcano hike. Possible DIY excursions. Almost every excursion I mentioned to you already can also be done as a DIY excursion. But here's a few more. Explore the town of Basseterre. So this is Independence Square. Way back in the day during the slave trade, this is where the slaves were traded and sold on the market. Surrounding the square, there are a whole bunch of houses. And the night before the slave trade, the slaves would sleep in the basements of these houses. So lots of history that we can see here. And the Treasury and the National Museum are some things to see. You can visit the Wingfield Estate and the Romney Manor, which is a sugar plantation in the state. Take a boat to the neighboring island of Nevis, and it's about $20 round trip to this island. A taxi tour to Fairview Great House and the Brimstone Hill Fort, or a taxi to Cockle Beach, which is a very beautiful beach. It's about $13 to take a taxi round trip there. Again, students would not be taking taxis on their own. They'd be taking taxis under the supervision of chaperones. Lunch, of course, and then after getting back on the ship, there's teen mini golf before a 3-course dinner in the dining room. You can participate in some music trivia and schooners, and then the headliner show. This headliner show featuring a gentleman by the name of El Gaucho. I did not see this show, so I cannot talk much about this one, but they bring in a lot of very talented individuals for shows. Also featuring the Freedom of the Sea Orchestra, which is featured at every show. After the show, of course, exploring the ship and live piano entertainment, sing-alongs and schooners, and Latin dancing. I think Latin dancing takes place pretty much every night of any cruise coming out of Puerto Rico. And then room checks. Day 5, breakfast. And today's port is Antigua. Excuse me. Antigua has a lot of small bays and inlets, and a location of a lot of pirate history and a lot of event sports as well. I'm putting a performance in Antigua on the itinerary. Now, again, the performance really could take place at any port. Based on my experience, I think Antigua would be a good spot to have the performance based on kind of all the ship ports there. Possible pre-booked excursions, a tour to the historic English harbor, which is an old British Navy base, and Nelson's Dockyard and Shirley Heights. So this is English Harbor and Nelson's Dockyard, and this is Shirley Heights, which is a short walk or a cab ride away from Nelson's Dockyard. The price of that excursion through Royal Caribbean currently is $64. Possible DIY activities, you can do the same excursion. And my wife and I did this for $10 to $15. We took the bus there, pretty easy actually, the public bus. You can take a bus or you can take a private taxi. And then entrance into the dockyard was about $8, I think. So you can do this one easily as a DIY excursion. You can explore the town of St. John's, the public market, museums, Heritage Cave for shopping, and Fort James. Take a bus or a taxi to one of the beautiful beaches there, which is about $10 round trip. Then after the excursions, a lunch buffet. We'll do some poolside line dancing, 3-course dinner, country western dance party. And then tonight is the Ice Spectacular Show. This is Royal Caribbean's ice dancers on the ice skating rink. After that show, of course, having fun on the cruise ship. There's a guitar player that plays every night throughout different areas of the cruise ship. You can watch a movie on the pool deck. Again, lots of different things to do. And then room checks. Day 6, breakfast. Today, the port will be St. Lucia. St. Lucia was by far my favorite island that I visited of all the other islands. It's a very, very mountainous island, very curvy roads, a lot of luscious rainforest, a lot of really neat things to see, and there's very, very good snorkeling off of St. Lucia. Like most other islands, it was another center location of the slave trade. Lots of sugar plantations on this island as well. Some of the excursions, you can do an open jeep waterfall escapade and swim. So you actually just swim in a waterfall. Do a beach and Capitol trolley train tour. You can hike to or take a trip to a volcano and do some mud baths as well if you'd like to. This is the one that my wife and I did. It's a hike, cruise, snorkel, and mud bath. So you take about a half-hour boat ride down the coast. You go and you visit a waterfall, you visit a mud bath with sulfur and nice natural springs, and you do some snorkeling. You can also visit a very famous bay, Marigot Bay, not the same island, but the same name. And then lunch buffet on the ship, have some poolside music when they get back today, 3-course dinner, and then tonight we've got the Latin dance party at the Royal Promenade, followed by the headliner show. This headliner show features the comedy, variety, and mad skills of David Lucas, also featuring the Freedom of the Seas Orchestra as well. After the show, exploring the ship, and then there's a jazz jam session with the Freedom of the Seas musicians in one of the smaller club areas. Room checks. Then on to day 7. This is the last port of call. That is the Barbados. A little bit about the Barbados. It was under British rule for 340 years until its independence in 1966. And there's been repeated conflicts over and over and over again with the French and the British in its history. Some possible pre-booked excursions. You can just do a general Barbados tour, visiting the Great House Plantation, visiting the governor's residence, Gun Hill Station, the Farley Hill National Park, visiting St. John's Parish and Sunbury House Plantation. The ship actually ports in Bridgetown, Barbados. Bridgetown is a UNESCO World Heritage City as well, so it's lots of preservation there. Possible excursions, we got Harrison's Cave and Island Tour, do an Atlantis submarine expedition. It's a Jolly Roger pirate cruise, where you could do some snorkeling as well and walk the plank and swing on rope swings all into the ocean. Some DIY possibilities. Many people didn't know this, but George Washington actually spent 2 months living in the Barbados in 1751. He went there when his brother was ill. His brother had to escape the United States to hopefully get better. And when he was 19, he lived in this house. So you can do a DIY excursion, which you go to the George Washington house. It's actually very close to the cruise ship, probably a 20-minute walk or so. You can walk or take a shuttle to Round Beach. Round Beach is a great place to swim or snorkel. It's about a 20-minute walk from the cruise ship. My wife and I walked to get there when we went on this trip. As I mentioned, Bridgetown is a World Heritage Site, so you can visit Bridgetown. You've got Independence Square, the National Hero Square, St. Michael's Cathedral, the Parliament Buildings in Bridgetown. And once back on the ship, the buffet, lunch buffet. Today's activity, teen speed climbing, followed by some Latin music at Boleros, 3-course dinner, a 50s and 60s rock and roll party with a cool band, teen karaoke, and all that leads up to the evening show, which is a variety show featuring the comedy of Mike Pace and also featuring an acrobatic couple, Peter and Loquito. After the show, there was a 70s tribute with the Freedom of the Seas Singers and the Royal Promenade, followed by room checks. All right, day 8, breakfast. And today is a day at sea. So one day at sea to make our way back to San Juan, Puerto Rico. This day also includes performance in the clinic in the Arcadia Theater, and also includes a whole lot of fun on the ship, participating in a lot of different things. Perhaps the students didn't get an opportunity to participate in yet because they've been at port. So lunch and dinner buffet, of course, and then later that evening, we would have our awards ceremony put on by cruise festivals. After the awards ceremony, our 3-course dinner, and then the last show. This is called Once Upon a Time. It's basically a musical created by Royal Caribbean. Done very, very well. This is a musical that I saw when I was on the ship, and featuring the Freedom of the Seas Orchestra, of course. After the show, the activities on the cruise ship, and then room checks. Day 9 is basically a very early breakfast on day 9. You get off the cruise ship, and then transport back to MHS. A few other items about the cruise, and sorry I'm rushing through this. We got the concert starting in 25 minutes. Passports are required for this trip. Passport needs to be good until September 22nd, 2020. That is 6 months after the last day of the trip. So if you have a passport that's near expiring, it's something to check. When does your passport expire? A note about supervision and safety. I'm very comfortable with supervision and safety on a cruise ship. In fact, I was more comfortable last year with the cruise ship in comparison to any other band trip that I've ever gone on, either as a student or as a director. That includes New York City, that includes Orlando, that includes Chicago, Washington, D.C., all those places I've either been as a student or as a band director. The threat of running into questionable people is not nearly as high on a cruise ship, because they have to actually pay to get on a cruise ship. Of course, there are questionable people everywhere, but it's not like walking the streets in New York City as a group or Chicago. The average age of a Royal Caribbean cruise is 57. And also because the cruise will be out of Puerto Rico, the spring break effect is not as prominent on this cruise as, say, cruises leaving out of Florida. We had a few issues last year with the spring break effect. And thinking about that, Orlando is kind of the spring break hotspot for the United States. People are coming all over from Florida, Alabama, Louisiana, Georgia for their spring breaks. So it wasn't a huge deal. It was a nuisance last year, but a cruise out of Puerto Rico, you don't deal that nearly as much. So, band director thoughts. Here's what I like about this trip. I believe it's a great bang for your buck. All the entertainment's included. All the meals are included. The cruise ship is your transportation from island to island. You're not sitting on the cruise ship every day waiting to get from one location to another. The cruise ship travels at night, so there's some convenience to that, and all your meals are included. I really like the performance opportunities on this trip. We also thought the clinic was great as well. Unique experiences. A lot of things that students wouldn't have the opportunity to participate with anything else. The choices of activities, suit the interests of all students. There's a lot of different choices. Students are not stuck with one specific itinerary throughout the entire trip. They've got some choices throughout the entire trip of things that they can participate in. Again, all meals are included. All entertainment is included. And students do not need to spend a lot of time on a bus. New York City, you're on a bus 2 or 3 hours a day from one location to the next location, stuck in traffic, waiting to get into certain attractions and whatnot. So I also mentioned this, you don't need to spend a lot of time waiting in line, and the security and safety is great on a cruise ship as well. What I don't like about this trip, it is a bump up in price, and that's why we're talking about this now rather than next September. If this is a trip that you support and want your students to go on, we've got some time to financially prepare for it. I also wouldn't mind a trip that is a day or so short. Again, we didn't have as many choices with cruises because of the limitations with our spring break schedule. I mean, just principal class, I talked to Mr. Munoz, and Mr. Munoz prefers the cruise over the Orlando trip, and basically for the same reasons that I mentioned to you. Mr. Munoz went on the cruise last year. He was very confident in the safety and supervision of students on the ship. He also believes it's a great bang for your buck and the all-inclusive experiences. Mr. Munoz is also interested in going along with us once again on the cruise if we were to go on this trip. So questions about this trip? Anybody have any questions about this trip? Who provides the clinic is the question. Last year, it was kind of funny, the UW Eau Claire Director of Bands, by surprise, provided the clinic. And it would be provided by a college band director, and we don't know who that would be yet. I love Eau Claire's program, but I would guess that would be a different college band director next year, probably somebody that's a little further away than Eau Claire. Other questions? How many chaperones will go is the question. I'm not putting a limit right now. Basically, if you're interested in going, please note that in the online questionnaire. We might have to put a limit depending on the bus. When we get to Puerto Rico, we'll have to load a bus. And if we're on the verge of having 2 buses, and if we add 3 people, it goes to 3 buses, all of a sudden that's a significant expense. But there are other ways of working around that as well. And I'll talk about chaperones in a moment as well. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to keep going for a moment. So what next? Payment schedule. So for both of these trips, we would expect a $200 down payment in March. What that does is it allows us to secure airfare if we find a good deal, and it allows us to secure either the cruise or hotels for Orlando. After that, I would not expect any money until September. That gives you time to plan financially if this is a trip that you want to go on. So the remainder of the payments would happen basically September through December of next school year. So $200 in March, and then waiting until September for the next few payments. And the full trip paid for by December, end of December basically. Can parents go? Again, parents are welcome to come on the trip. It may be limited based on bus size. The cost will be slightly higher for parents. Parents would likely have double rooms or single rooms, so you'd be responsible for paying for those costs. I do need to mention that character expectations for parents while attending the trip will be identical to the expectations that the school district has for Mr. Arcula, which includes abstaining from drinking alcohol and using other non-prescribed controlled substances. And that is something that I feel very serious about for the safety of all the students involved on our trip. Fundraisers, we have 2 fundraisers that we've been doing every year. The coupon book fundraiser, students raise $14 per coupon book that is sold. We'll do that once again in the fall. I think with effort, and notice I'm saying effort, I'm not saying a lot of effort. I think with effort, this is a great fundraiser. Each year I have several students raise over $300 to put towards their trip every year. Send an email out to family and friends and spend an hour or 2 out in the community. I think $200 is easily attainable by participating in this fundraiser. Also, we'll be doing the mattress fundraiser again next year. I'll be on October 19th, that is a Saturday, and students earn referrals starting with $25 per mattress. $25, and the more mattresses the students refer, the better the bang for your buck for the referral. And if you have other ideas, you can certainly communicate those to me as well. So where do we go from here? Students are going to have an opportunity to provide me feedback through an online questionnaire. You're going to have an opportunity to provide me with feedback through an online questionnaire, and that link to that is included in the last page of this. So take a look at the very last page. You see kind of a QR code. You can either scan that QR code, or you can enter an email or enter the address in. I'll analyze that feedback. I'll work with the travel agent, and then we'll come up with a plan of attack. We'll likely have a trip meeting in February or so. So again, here's what that questionnaire looks like. It's basically telling me how likely it is for your son or daughter to go on the trip. This is one of the questions. If we decide to go on this trip, how likely is it that your son or daughter will attend? So you don't have to write anything, you just click, 100% will attend, very likely, maybe, not very likely, 100% will not attend, and so forth. It also gives you an opportunity to provide you with written feedback regarding any of these trips and ask questions as well. I do read every survey, every questionnaire that is submitted to me. So if you've got questions or you've got opinions on it, feel free to share them with me. Both positive and negative are very helpful for me. And that is it. Any more quick questions? All right, thank you for your time. I'm going to unlock those doors over there.